and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Charmaine, and today I am talking about all of the books that I read in July. It's my July TBR, yo, and I read a total of 13 and a half books. How pumped am I? Okay, I gotta tell you guys, first off, like, every single year, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read 52 books out of a year, because that's like one book a week. I can do that. I'll do it. It'll be awesome. I think last year I read like 17 books. So it was not close to the 15 or the 52 books. So this year I was like, I'm going to have a realistic goal and I'm going to go between like 20 and 25. Because I figure in between that, like with book club, because we read like a book a month-ish. Like it's like, I think it's like 10 books a year because it's like 5 weeks kind of. So we read like 10 books that way. So that'll be like 10 books. And then I was like, and then I'll have like 10 to 15 that I'll read on my own. I have read so far this year 72 books. I do need to get better at using my Goodreads app because I really don't use that, so I should start using that. And I did actually make myself like a book journal, so I was like writing down my stats and everything in here before I started filming this. So yeah, I did make myself a book journal. I have like little book reviews in there so I can like discuss the books with you guys or do like a better review than I've been doing before. So I'm really excited with myself actually because 72 books and it's the end of July. Like I'm filming this on July 30th. So that's amazing. That's amazing. I never thought that I would read that many books in 1 year ever. So I'm very excited. I will say like a lot of them are audiobooks. So if you don't think that audiobooks are reading, like you're wrong, but that's fine. Like choose your choice. It's fine. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you guys the books that I read this month. I did have one DNF'd. So that's did not finish, do not finish, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm so excited. I am so excited. Also, I gotta tell you guys, there is this book all over like BookTube, BookTok, TikTok, Bookstagram, like all of these things. It's called Fourth Wing and it was sold out everywhere. Like I couldn't get it at any store in my city here. I couldn't get it on Amazon. I couldn't, like no booksellers had it from like, I couldn't get it from like Barnes and Nobles, like shipped to me from the States. Nothing like that, right? So yesterday, Amazon was like, your book's back in stock. So I ordered it. So I can't wait to get that. So I'm hoping when I film my TBR that I'll be able to fit that into like one of the things that I'm gonna like pick out of my TBR when I film that video next. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. I just wanted to tell you guys it's coming. It's coming today. So if like the doorbell rings while I'm reading this, homegirl's like out. I mean, while I'm filming this, I'm just gonna be like, okay, bye. Okay. Anyway, so I did read a total of 13 and a half books. I'm halfway through Court by Tracy Wolff. I'm reading the Crave series. So I did end up finishing, what was it called? Covet, which was number 3. They're like 685 pages. Like, I think that's like the shortest one. So they're quite long books and it does take me, like they take about a month to read, which is okay. Cause like, I mean, I do read other stuff in between and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm excited. Okay. So, how should I do this? Should I tell you guys all of the books and then see? I don't know. I'm going to figure that out. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys what book I read individually each time and give you like a little synopsis review. I don't really know how other people do their wrap-ups, and now I feel like I need to watch more of those because I've been watching a lot of TBRs and TBR games, but I haven't been watching a lot of wrap-ups, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm supposed to do this. But yeah, so the first book I read of the month, which I finished on July 5th, was Neon Gods by Katie Robert. It's a Persephone's and Hades retelling with a very spicy dungeon. Like, it's a spicy book, which I did not realize when I started reading it because it was on Scribd. Like I have the Scribd app where you can read like as many books as you want for the same amount of money a month. And it has like a kind of a twist on the retelling because the gods aren't the original gods. It's like one of the original gods passes away and then like new Hades comes to take over for them kind of thing. So it's really actually really neat. I thought that was very cool. And I think there's 2 more books in the series because it goes with Persephone and then I think it's like her 2 sisters each have a book. So I am looking forward to reading that. I will say if you like spicy books, which if you don't know what spicy books are, they just have like a lot of like sexual scenes in them. But yeah, so if you do like spicy books, I would say it was a good one. I have not read a spicy books in like many years because that's not really my like genre. Like I don't really care for that. Like not like I'm against it. I just like don't care to read it. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm going to read all the spicy books because like that's not my thing. But I did enjoy the book. And I do love Persephone's and Hades. Like Greek gods are my favorite mythical god sect. Is that what it's called? Did I just sound fancy? I think maybe I just sounded fancy. Anyways, so those are my favorite ones. Like my friend Chrissy likes Roman gods or Egyptian gods. My friend Caitlin likes Roman gods, like those kind of things. So like it's kind of neat. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed the story. I like the characters, and I am looking forward to like reading the next books because I think those are going to be good. And I gave that a 3.5 stars. I don't really care for the spicy parts, but I did think that they handled it well. So yeah, I think it's okay. So that was the first book that I read. The second book that I read was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Now, I will say I had a lot of Lisa Jewell this month, and I also had a lot of Megan Miranda this month. I went very hardcore into the thrillers, and it was awesome. It was so good. Like every day I was like, yes, more thrillers. Let's find out what happens next. It was so good. It was so good. So this is a 15-year-old girl disappears. The mom ends up dating the spouse of the woman who took her and raising her granddaughters. So what it is like this girl disappears, and I just gave you guys the whole spoilers of the book. There's going to be spoilers in this video because I just gave you guys the whole synopsis of the book. But yeah, so the girl disappears, and then like many years later, like 20 years later, like she's never found, she never comes back, anything like that. The police decided it was like a runaway case maybe or something like that. And this mom ends up dating like this guy who's like raising her granddaughter essentially. But he doesn't know. So it's a very, very, very good twisted novel. It is so, actually, it was like so many twists that I was like, what is happening here? And then I was like, how does she look like her? Like, there was so many things. That was a really, really good one. I gave that one 4.5 stars. It was so good. It was so good. I really enjoyed that. The third book that I read was, oh, and did I say when I finished that? I finished that July 6th. I read it in like a day. It's audiobooks again. And also I was on holidays that week, so I read a lot. The third book that I read was The Girls in the Garden, also by Lisa Jewell. I finished it on July 8th, and I gave it a 3 stars. My synopsis, like, quote thing is, the meanness of girls gets out of hand, and the neighborhood covers it up. So it's like a little community where they all live, and then essentially what happens is like, there's just mean girls. Like, there's girls that live there that are friends, but they're like jealous over the same guy and that kind of thing. And it turns into like a mean girl kind of thing. There's not a murder in the book, but there is a murder that happened previously. And then they don't have any suspects on that and that kind of stuff. It was good. I would say like that was probably one of my like least favorite Lisa Jewell books so far. So what it is like the book has like a lot of like teenagers and like children in it, and I'm just not interested in that kind of stuff. So that for me was just like kind of okay. And I thought like the twists and the turns were okay, but the fact that the neighborhood covered it up kind of annoyed me. Like, it was like, I don't know how you would say, like, they were maybe townhouses all kind of connected together kind of thing. And it was like in a little cul-de-sac maybe. But yeah, so the fact that the adults were covering up like this like mean girl stuff to me, I was just like, okay, come on. So yeah, I wasn't really into that. But I did give it a 3 stars because I still really like Lisa Jewell, and I still think that she has like amazing twists and turns in her books. Now, my fourth book, this one I didn't finish. This was my DNF. It was called Watching You, a Novel, and it's by Lisa Jewell as well. And I had a hard time focusing on it. I think maybe I had read like too many of her books together, which happens sometimes, right? Like they're not all the same, like they're not sequels or anything like that. They're all standalones. But if you read so many books by the same author, like you get kind of like, did I read this already? Like kind of distracted. So I did find that there was like too many people and it was too hard for me to focus on it. But I did get about halfway through it before I was like, oh, I'm going to DNF of this. I probably will go back to it though, because I really enjoy Lisa Jewell's writing. I didn't number them, so I got to go back and look. 2, 4, 5. So the fifth book that I read is 5 Little Pigs by Agatha Christie. I finished this July 9th and I gave it 3.5 stars. So this is another Hercule Poirot mystery. That's Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. I read Death on the Nile last month, and my friend Casey from Casey's Opinions and Terrible Editing Skills, she is doing an Agatha Christie book a month, and I was like, that's such a brilliant idea. I should do that. So I ended up doing 5 Little Pigs this month. It's another Hercule Poirot mystery, like I said, and I read Death on the Nile last month. So far, 2 for 2. I'm doing pretty good there. I just started this like this month, but I'm excited about it because I'm already winning. So yeah, it says not as good as Death on the Nile. Like, I mean, I did enjoy the story, but I didn't like the characters as much maybe. And it says it's another Game of Clue style-ish book. Which is what the 5 did a murder in the past. Which of the 5 did a murder in the past? Somewhat a cold case-ish book. That's what I wrote. I really enjoyed it. I actually think that I want to read like Agatha Christie's like Hercule Poirot mysteries now. Because I really enjoy that character. He's like a detective who's really, really smart. And people try and like snow him all the time. Like they're always trying to convince him like stuff is not happening or they didn't do it. And he's just like so smart. But he's also kind of funny, which is the thing that I like. Like there's always a little bit of comedy in the books, which is something that I like because I think that's kind of neat. So then the next book that I finished, which was my 6th book, is Covet by Tracy Wolff. That's the one that I was telling you guys that I finished. It took, so my review is, I finished this on July 9th as well. It said, it took too long for Grace to realize that she loves Hudson. Like, we're on book 3. She just realized now, come on. And then I bawled like a baby at the very end. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. I did the ugly girl cry sob. I was, you know that one? Like, so I'm actually talking about it and getting a little bit choked up. Like, it was so good. My friend Taylor is also going to read them because she's going to read them through the app, the Scribed app. I cannot wait to hear what she says about them because they're so good. I am loving them so much. A lot of people are saying that the books are kind of like Twilight with a more teenagery twist. I don't know how to explain it. I just thought it was so good. And I'm loving them. There's also dragons and like witches in them. They are different than Twilight as far as I'm concerned, but whatever. Number 7 is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. So this is the month where I realized that Megan Miranda is my most favorite author of this year so far. So I did have a prompt that I didn't finish for my TBR prompts this month, which is the author you loved. I picked Chain of Gold here. It's behind me here. I picked that book. I was going to read that book, and then I ended up reading, I'm going to tell you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 Megan Miranda books this month instead. So I decided to slightly skew that prompt into my favorite author of this year instead. So I'm going with my Megan Miranda books instead. I love her so much. She's amazing. She's such a good author. I'm just like captivated, and like every single book I'm like, no, no, no. Like it's so good. It's so good. So this is Only Survivors that I read as my, or no, Such a Quiet Place. That's the one that I read. I read that as my 7th book. I gotta write down the numbers. I should have done that, but I like to be complicated. So yeah, we're on the 7th book. I finished this July 10th. Like honestly, I was on holidays and I read a lot of books that week. So this is a quiet neighborhood where everyone works together also. Like they all work at the same company. And it's too many cooks in the kitchen. Who did the murders? Who's guilty? Who has secrets? And this is, someone comes, like they get put away for like a murder, and then they come back to the neighborhood because they're found like not guilty, and they come back, and then it's like how the neighborhood deals with this person coming back who supposedly like killed another neighbor, and the way that it's dealt with and everything that happens, and like the secrets that like also this group is kind of like covering up, but then like they're not really covering it up, and then they're like all against each other, but they're trying to work together, but nobody trusts anybody. It's so good. So good. It was a lot of different characters, but it's all kind of told from like one person's perspective. It was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Like honestly, so good. I'm kind of obsessed with Megan Miranda now, so I'm not gonna lie. Like the next 2 books are Megan Miranda as well. So the next one that I read is Only Survivors, which I also finished on July 10th. Man, I did good. Look at me go. I don't even care. Shouting out myself. That's good stuff. So this one is a high school group who survive a terrible accident come back together every year. This year, someone is messing with them, but who? So what it is when they were in high school, they were on like a field trip, and on the field trip, this terrible accident happened, and there was only a couple of them that survived. It's actually really sad. And then these survivors come back every year to like spend time with each other, and like, it's supposed to be, I think, how they heal together, but they're kind of like, I don't know, the one who's like telling the story is like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I changed my number. I don't want to come back together anymore. Like, I kind of feel like I have to, because they're like, you have to, but I don't want to, like, because they just keep like reliving it over and over again. And like, I mean, to survive the way that they survived, they did maybe not some so great things. But I mean, like, if you're in a situation where you're trying to survive, sometimes you do some not so great things, you know? So she's kind of explaining that, and it kind of goes back through like what actually happened in the accident. So it's like a past and a present book. So good. So good. I gave it 4.5 stars. Did I say that? Yeah. So I gave it 4.5 stars. Honestly, seriously, Megan Miranda, just all of the books, all of them. I don't care. It was amazing. The next one I read is also a Megan Miranda book. Shocking. And it was called Perfect Stranger. This one is my favorite by her so far. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I finished this July 11th. Totally 5 stars. Honestly, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Kept me guessing to the very end. And because we were listening to it on audio, because like my boyfriend listens to this as well, because we play video games together and listen to the books. And I kept pausing it and being like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. I think this is what's happening. I was wrong every time. It was so good. Okay, so this one is a former reporter runs into a former roommate and they decide to move to a new place for a restart. The roommate goes missing, and then it's like, is she who she says she is? Because now, like, the reporter who used to be the reporter is now trying to find her, and she's like a school teacher now, and there's like, she's getting like sexual threats, and like somebody's obsessed with her, and then somebody who looks like her dies, and like the twists in the turns in this, it was so good. And like the deceit from like way back when, amazing, amazing. I honestly, I'm just saying, I would have not guessed what happened in this book. And I tried almost every chapter to figure out what was going on. Like almost every chapter I was like, nah, it's this person now. No, it's this person now. No, it's this person. I'm right this time. I was not right any of the times, you guys. None of them. None. The next book I read is The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. I know, again, you guys are shocked, right? So this one I finished July 26th. I actually have 2 books in between this, but I forgot to write them down first. So this is our book club book for the month. So I had started it early, but I was like trying to read it while I was at work, and I was also like doing work because my boss doesn't mind if I listen to like an audiobook while I'm doing like the paperwork and stuff like that. But you actually have to pay attention while you're listening to it. And so I had to like restart it, but I made my mom read it first because my mom's fast, and then I read it, and then Taylor's gonna take like the longer time with it because she's also using it through the app. So yeah, she'll end up taking a longer time with it. I probably will have to like reread it a little bit because I'm gonna have to like figure out the book club questions and all of that stuff and write all of that down. So I'm gonna have to work on that right away because like my memory is not that good. But I finished this July 26th. I also gave this one 5 stars, and this is also by Megan Miranda. Did I say that? I read like 4 of her books like together kind of thing. So this is 2 friends from opposite worlds. One apparently unalives herself and the other one to find out what happens. And then, but who can she trust? Now, I don't want to talk about this book too much because like I said, it's for our book club. I will say I also did the same thing where I was like to my boyfriend, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And I was not right. I was right 1 second before it was revealed who the person was. That doesn't count because they're leading up to it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I'm not counting that as me actually knowing what happened. And then the next ones I had were actually in between. They were in between The Perfect Stranger, which I read on July 11th, and The Last House Guest, which I read on July 26th. I just forgot to write them down. So I read 2 books by Jennifer Donnelly, and it was Stepsister, which is a fairy tale retelling of Cinderella, and I also read Poison, which is a fairy tale retelling of Snow White. So the first one I read was the Stepsister one. Oh, excuse me, the Stepsister one. And it's a story about Isabel, Cinderella's stepsister, who lost her love due to meddling, and she's gone mean. This is a story about how she finds a way to forgive others and herself and become like a new person after all of the bad stuff that happened to her. And like she goes from being, it's like a riches to rags kind of story. It was really, really good. I genuinely love book retellings. Like Alex Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite book retellings. I actually did like a whole video on all of my Alice in Wonderland like retelling books because I genuinely love Alice in Wonderland. Oh, so good, so good. So, which I didn't actually realize until I had all of these retellings of it, and then I was like, oh, look at me. Anyways, I gave this one a 3.5 stars out of 5. I thought it was really good. I think it was a really good retelling. I ended up getting sympathy for the main character, but in the beginning I was like, but I think that's because she's an evil stepsister, right? And like, you know that when you start reading it. So that one I was like, whatever. You kind of deserve it. But like, you know, she doesn't. I mean, like, throughout the book you find out that she doesn't. But like, if you're watching the cartoon movie, you're like, oh, you were the worst, Drizella. You know? Like, kind of, seriously. And then the last one I read was Poisoned, which is like not the actual last book that I read, but it's Poisoned by Jennifer Donnelly. And it's a Snow White retelling. This one I gave 4.5 stars. This one I thought was really cool. So I'm going to read you like the little synopsis that I wrote down. And it says, once upon a time, a girl named Sophie rode into a forest with a huntsman only to lose her heart. So what it is it's like like I said, it's like a Snow White retelling, but it's, the girl is named Sophie and she goes into the forest. Her heart gets stolen just like in Snow White. I guess in Snow White it didn't happen though, right? She just got like knocked out. But yeah, so the whole thing happens. The dwarves come, they take care of her, and then she figures out how to go from being like a princess who like didn't have to worry about anything to being like her own champion. It's so good. And like the twists and the turns in there. I wonder if Jennifer Donnelly actually does other books, because like, you know, she's like trying to like now fight for herself and like figure out how to deal with all of this other stuff that's going on around her and help the dwarves. And then like the bad guys are still trying to come and get her, and like there's a magic mirror. It's so good. It's so good. And then the very last book that I did read was The Safest Lies by Megan Miranda. Shocked. And okay, I will say I'm not 100% finished it yet. So I'm not going to give you guys a synopsis, but I will tell you like the beginning part that I've read so far is a high school girl is working like a tutor job at the school, and then she gets into a car accident and she's on a cliff, and then like one of the people that she's like in math class with helps save her life, and it's like a very like terrifying beginning to a book because she's like off a cliff, like on a tree in her car, not aware of the fact that she had gotten into an accident, and this guy is like saving her with like a zip line, and like the firemen are there, and like the stuff is falling apart, and like she's trying to get out of the car before it falls off the edge. So good to start with. And then it's kind of like a twist and turn about how her mom has like the agoraphobia, where you like can't leave your house, but there's like a reason why her mom has this, and like she doesn't talk about it, and like so they have like a social worker who comes, and like the daughter never used to leave the house, but now she's at school, and like so that's where I am so far. It like I say, I'm filming this on July 30th. I will have that book finished today. I'm off today. We're gonna go for some sushi, and then I'm gonna come home and we're gonna finish that book. It is very good. It is very intense so far, so I'm not rating it yet. But I will like have like a rating, like hopefully on the screen when you guys see this, I'll have like a rating of what it was. I, however, may put this up before then, and then I'll just leave like the rating in my comments. But yeah, so I did end up getting through 13.5 books. I read, I DNF'd one, I read 11 in audio, and then 2 in physical. Yeah, so that's a good way to say it. And then also for my prompts for this month, I had an author that you love. And I picked the Chain of Gold book. I didn't end up doing that, but I did end up doing a whole bunch of Megan Miranda books. And she's like my newest author that I love of this year. So I'm counting that as finishing that prompt. Then I had a book over 300 pages. I had Finish Covet, which is like 698 pages or something. It's very long. And then Start Court by Tracy Wolff. So I did both of those. And then for mystery and thriller, I had The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. So I did complete all of my July TBR books. I will be, because I did 3 TBR, like, choices, 3 TBR prompts. I have them here beside me because that's the next video I'm filming. So I had 3 of those that I did for the month of June, and then I did 3 for the month of July, and I completed both. So for August, I think I'm going to do 4. I don't want to like overwhelm myself and then be like, no, I'm never going to read again, and like throw myself into like a reading slump. But I do at the same time want to challenge myself a little bit more. And I just bought myself like a whole bunch of books. Like if you guys saw my book haul, which is actually like showing today, I'll try and remember to put it up here so you guys can see it. I got 2 more book hauls coming, and then I have Fourth Wing coming today as well. So I have a lot of books to choose from. Some of them aren't here yet though. So I'm looking forward to August's haul as well. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's it. Let me know how many books you read this month. Have you read any of the books that I mentioned? Like, I don't know. Have you guys read any Megan Miranda books? Seriously, if you have not read any books by her, we are doing The Last House Guest for like this month's book club choice, and we only just announced it like last week. So if you guys haven't like read it yet, I think there's like still 3 weeks left. That gives you like quite a lot of time to read it if you want to. If you have read a book by Megan Miranda, please tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about Lisa Jewell. I'm serious when I say I went on like a serious thriller like book thing. That's why I also think that I'm gonna try and read her Watching You again, because I think maybe I did like thriller and I needed to like break it up with something else. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why I couldn't get into it. So I am gonna try and read it again. Okay, that's it. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on that notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video, as they are sporadic now and no longer every day. Check out my description box for content creators as well. And thank you guys so much for spending a couple minutes of your day with me today. I really, really appreciate that, and I really, really appreciate you. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!